Hey, Questions Anonymous by Teens, 2023 edition. Hi, I'm Melissa Robbins, the director of Hope Place Fordyce, a pregnancy and family resource center located in Fordyce, Arkansas. I have the privilege to teach fetal development in a high school classroom, and these are some of the questions that I got. Question number 3 is, how do I know the best time to test for pregnancy and for it to be accurate? They put to be right, but I'm pretty sure to be accurate if you don't know when your next cycle will be. So for women who have regular cycles, the first, we're always in a cycle. So if you don't know, you're like, I don't know when my cycle will be. Well, you're always in the cycle. It just keeps going round and round and round. But the beginning of a woman's cycle starts the first day of her period. And so that's usually 5 to 7 days long. And then the next week, the next 5 to 7 days, the lining of your uterus is rebuilding to prepare for a potential pregnancy. So that first week is the lining of your uterine wall is shedding, because it's like, oh, I'm not pregnant, I don't need all this stuff. And so your body will shed that. The uterus will shed all of that tissue in your uterus that's not needed because you're not pregnant. Well, that second week, it starts rebuilding that, a fresh set. It starts rebuilding that for a potential pregnancy. And then at the end of that second week, then there will be ovulation. And of course, every single woman is completely unique. Some women's cycles are like 21 days long. So they have like shorter cycles and they just keep going round and round. Other women have longer cycles, up to 30 something days long. So they have longer cycles. So it's very unique to every single woman. And there are different apps and things where you can track your cycle and kind of figure out what's unique for you. And that's good for any woman to do at any age of life, is to be familiar with how your body operates. But so that you know if something is happening in your life or with your body that's not normal. So it is good to be aware of how your cycle is, how your unique cycle is, so that if anything happens in your cycle that's not normal, that's when you know, oh, I need to go get checked out because there's something going on. So it is very good to be aware of how your cycle works. But after ovulation, during ovulation, an egg, women are built with the eggs that you're going to have for the rest of your life, but 1 or 2 of those eggs will be released every single month. And if it's not fertilized, then it'll just stay in the uterus for the next week or 2 and be shed during the period. But if there is fertilization during that ovulation period, then the fertilized egg will come down the fallopian tube into the uterus and will implant into the uterine wall. And that's when you become pregnant. And pregnancy tests pick up HCG hormone levels. So that does not happen. The HCG levels don't start increasing until after implantation into the uterine wall. So a pregnancy test cannot pick up HCG until after that has happened. And usually the HCG levels build up high enough to be detected by a pregnancy test within 1 to 2 weeks after ovulation. And that's usually 3 to 4 weeks after the start of your period. So like you start your period, usually it's 4 to 5 weeks before you can take a pregnancy test, and that pregnancy test can pick up the HCG levels. Women may be pregnant, and if they take that pregnancy test too early, then the HCG levels may not be high enough for that pregnancy test to pick up, and so their test may become negative. And so then they're like, oh, I'm good, I'm not pregnant, but yet they didn't wait long enough for that pregnancy test to pick up on the HCG levels. And so for women who have irregular periods, that is a whole nother story. There really is no way to accurately know exactly when. Like if you have a regular, and there's all kinds of factors that can affect a woman's cycle and cause her to have irregular cycles. So some of those may be maybe a family history. There may be a family history of hormone imbalances that cause the cycle not to be regular. Some women, it may be if they're taking birth control, maybe they have PCOS or some other reproductive things going on where they need to take birth control to help kind of regulate those hormones a little bit, or maybe they're just taking birth control just to try to prevent a pregnancy. All of those things, all those hormonal things that can affect the hormones can affect your cycle and cause your cycle to become irregular. And for many women, even after they may be on birth control and they get off birth control, it may be years before their body can reestablish a regular cycle. And so there's a lot of factors that can affect that. And we always say here, if you're sexually active, the purpose of sexual activity is to procreate. That is the biological purpose. And so we encourage people, if at all possible, to abstain from sexual activity if they're not ready to procreate. And there are many people, they're just not ready. And it's okay not to be ready to have a baby at this time. It is okay not to be ready to have a baby. But the only way to 100% be sure that you're not going to have a baby when you're not ready is to abstain from that activity until you are in a relationship where you know you and your partner are ready to have a baby, and that will be when you're at a safe place to be able to have a baby. But even then, really, I encourage you to if you don't know when your cycle is, you may have a regular cycle, you're just not aware of how that works, go ahead and look into some of those apps and kind of start tracking your body. And that way you can be aware of some of how your body operates every single month, so that if something irregular happens, you can go ahead and get in for medical attention and make sure you take care of some of those things at the very beginning. So I hope that answered your question.